in some point in the coming year. Anyway, thanks you for joining this coffee break. I hope you're having a coffee. Well, the coffee is on you, but the break is on us. So we hope to give you a little coffee break, and this way you can, get in a short break a little bit of an overview on a step-by-step guide, as mentioned, to qualifying and converting students. At least in the 10 years of experience that we can bring to the table, we try to pack it in a short, 10-minute overview, and hopefully give you some tips in qualifying and converting. So we're going to dive in. I'd like to know, this is an interactive session, so I'd like to know from you a couple of things, because that really helps in making this useful for you. There's a polling on the right top. We'd like to know, what is your biggest challenge in student recruitment, from finding channels, the right channels, qualifying students, converting, or any other. You can comment in the chat as well. And if you're involved in student recruitment at all, or you're part of a team, or just curious, you're all are welcome. And I'd also like to mention that if you're watching the recording, so that you can watch at any time as well, you can still yeah, use all the interactive features. And you also can give emoticons. So if you want to give a little thumbs up or a celebration, feel free to do that at the bottom. I like to get those. Great. So thanks. And yeah, let's dive in a little the coffee break. So basically, this has been a strange year, of course. So I'm going to dive in on some of the new trends and some things that are happening currently, and also how we adapted uh, converting and qualifying students to that. My name is Luc Mulling. I have lived in 6 countries myself. So with that, I also bring to the table some of the experience of actually being a student. So that can be useful. I have an IT background, but have been working in student recruitment for the last 10 years. And as you can see, a lot of universities, I think about 350 or 400 universities by now. So for sure, one in your country. Now, what has some surveys to students? What has it shown, especially in this last year? It showed that a lot of students are reconsidering to apply. You've probably experienced that as well as at your university, that they delayed their start date. Overall student recruitment often declined. I know of some universities that it didn't decline, but it is not about only, of course, the applications, but the actual enrollments, and that's where the converting comes in. Um, and still, and about 20% is confident about finding a job, so that's not very high. However, I like to look at the glass half full, and that is that a lot of, so more than half of people still say that having a degree is extremely valuable. They see the power of education. They should upgrade themselves because the market has become very competitive, if it wasn't already. And still, almost half is confident about finding a job. And certainly, your programs and studying abroad can help in that. So, some other trends, I've circled a couple of things, especially that are especially important these days. Of course, online. We're all online. We're hoping to all get back to some in-person reality, which is slowly happening, in terms of also in-person classes. But digital marketing is here to stay. So that's some keys to really emphasize on. It's becoming more and more competitive. So if your class is still online, your location is not going to be the driving factor, but the program value and what you bring to the table, of course, is. Also, attention spans of students are getting shorter and shorter. This TikTok generation, right? I used to call them the Netflix generation, but that's even old by now, I guess. So it's now the TikTok generation, short span. That also is important for, well, in all steps in how you deliver your classes. If it's hybrid style, but also, of course, the way you message with the students. So I'm going to touch on that briefly as well. And important to have the right tools in place, big data, and still having an engaging experience, not losing the interactivity, authentic messages. So this is boiled down in basically these four things that we have identified are key to laser focus on. So if you're promoting your programs, you should really know well and revisit your unique selling points. Why is it that a student wants to study with you? So you might want to talk to alumni, why they chose it in the first place, and also your markets. So where do students come from, but also where do you have opportunities? We use data from the UNESCO as well that gives a good idea on where students are looking to go and study, yeah, in their particular country. Um, the profiling, so that's a key of qualification. So here we come already to that point. I'm going to talk to that in a second, how we do that with personalized messages and converting them. And of course, in the technology part and data, to have clear call to actions and engagement. Translated to some of the tips that we can bring to the table. First of all, the markets. Now, the research, of course, you have to do that yourself in a sense. We can come with data to the table of where we have found, and over the last 10 years, especially maybe over the last year, better put, where students are looking to go, where they come from, which markets. And again, we have some tools available to help you with that. One of them is also IP geo targeting. So it helps in driving the right students to the right sessions, in our case, webinars, because we make webinars and promote these widely, but we have something called IP geo targeting installed that basically in reality means some countries might not see the webinar. So why would you want to do that? Well, maybe you already have a high in, a number of applications from, I'm just mentioning some big countries like India or China. So you can choose then to really focus on the ones that you, to diversify your class. When they come to this registration page, there should be a clear description, call to actions, um, data. That's where you get the data from, and you can really qualify already the students. How? Well, by simply asking a lot of questions, first of all, um, on their background. So you want to know maybe their English levels. You want to know their background of study, why they are interested to study with you, some motivational factors. So these things we do ask that in our webinars. And yeah, the more information you ask, the better idea you normally get. Of course, the numbers will might go down, in the sense that if you the more information you ask, some people might not want to leave some of that information. But in our opinion, it means they're not really interested, and that's fine. They can go, go to other parts of the website from you to download a brochure and get informed. But I'm talking about later part of the funnel, and so to say, where you come in to qualify them and convert them. So that's where this is important. How? What else do we do? Is to really check the quality and help the students. In the end, get into the webinar, get the information, and then help convert. Is calling the students. So yes, we actually are calling. Um, I would recommend this for any institute to do that. In our experience, it really helps and it's well received. Students like to hear a real person. We're also used to emails and there's all these digital methods, WhatsApp, of course, and bots on the website. They're great. Don't get me wrong. They all have a purpose. Especially you have to think along the funnel. In the beginning, you might be okay talking to a bot when you're browsing around. If it gets a bit more detailed, WhatsApp is fine. But if you really are interested, you want to talk to somebody probably. And that can be in a call, that can be a one-on-one session. If you have the time, that's great. And depending, of course, on the level of your program, if it's an MBA, you probably do want to have a one-on-one, a personal chat with this person. Anyway, we do some part of that work as we know it really works. So it can help convert students. And another thing that is really important in all this is the technology. So I'm going to touch on that in a second to show what some tools that we use. But before that, I think it would be important to explain a bit on the marketing side, because I've talked about the channels, and I see, yeah, some of you have indicated that it's important to find the right channels, that you had some challenges there. So basically, going from top to bottom, we help promote the programs through, of course, social media, Facebook, Instagram, um, LinkedIn as well, especially for master and more MBA programs. We do advertising in all of these platforms, which can work well. But I'd like to highlight one thing in LinkedIn that we do maybe uniquely, as we actually collaborate with groups, so interest groups. Now, if you have a program in data science, for example, just to mention an example, there are big groups in data science. That's where professionals, but also potential students or people that are looking to switch careers, um, they are often in these interest groups. They are very huge groups of 30, 50, 100,000 people sometimes. We have established partnerships with these groups, and the group owners actually then shows the webinar in our case in the session in this group. So it's not really advertising, it's like an informational option, and it comes across good, and we get good results from this. So just to highlight an maybe unique creative way of working with LinkedIn. What else? Well, of course, our database, as you have as well. If people come to your site and leave details, you want to invite them to the webinar. So that's what we do as well, based on their background and possibly country, to see if they are of the right profiles. Now, another unique thing is partnerships. So you have, of course, your own partnerships. You probably work already with agencies. You might already work with portals. And that's all great. You want to try things out and see what works. We do the same. So if you would work with us, we actually have a lot of partners behind us to help us. So the other channels I just mentioned, we do that ourselves. However, we also work with local websites in places like Russia, Southeast Asia, China now as well, Latin America, just to mention some markets. And students are basically often searching for their study abroad and for specific information locally in those sites, right? So that's why we decided not to reinvent the wheel and try, like the big portals to fight for the traffic. No, why not go where they already are? They are in these local sites, and again, these partners help us, and they put the webinar from you on their portal, and we get access to these local students where they're looking for information. So that gives another yeah, good quality student, and they come in the webinar. Last but not least, content marketing. So we help with that as well, creating articles, and you can probably check out our blog in the end. So you can do that through the website of our portal. I'm going to send you already a call to action. So check out our blog. You might want to see their examples, but you see there are also webinars um, where you can, yeah, see how the actual webinars are done from your colleagues in action. So check it out there. There's a lot of content, a lot of examples, and we always update it every week. So it could be useful. Okay. And since it's a short coffee break, I'm going to come to the end. I'll be glad to show you how we personalize campaign, how we exactly step by step take people through the channel. By the way, since you have joined this session, either live or you're watching the recording, um, well, I like to, as a token of gratitude, thank you for joining, and I will give you a PDF of the step-by-step guide, where we tried in just very short, in a couple of pages, explain yeah, some of the ways of what I just mentioned, of driving people through the channel, sorry, through the funnel, from being aware to interested in the program, to actually targeting the right qualified students and converting them to apply and of course enroll. So I will send it to you by email, or you can just stay on and you can download it right from here in a second. All right. So I've already shown you a little bit how the webinar can work. You have different interactive experiences, as you could see. All the usual ones as polling, questions, emoticons maybe might be new. These are important, so it makes the session more engaging. We can show videos, all of that. But the most important thing that people often overlook is the mobile friendliness of their platform. And for example, Zoom is now the widely used webinar service, and a lot of universities I talk to work with that. That's great. They can, of course, work very well. But if you want to have, for student recruitment purposes, um, there's some downsides, because actually they're not. It's not that mobile friendly. People have to install something and go to the app store, and that often gives yeah, people then don't join simply. So another thing is the on-demand interactions. Like I showed you, you can use all the interactive methods here when you're even watching the recording. I can even jump back in the recording and be there and answer questions to that person who's watching a recording. So there's some useful things. I'm not even touching upon the reporting, which is really yeah, in depth. You get a lot of data, very important. I'm going to leave that with you. Now, if you want to know more, feel free to contact me. This is, of course, I wanted to give you help in steps and give you insights in how we work. The PDF, I'm going to explain that, and also, sorry, share that with you. And also the customer testimonial. We have a nice case study with Politecnico di Milano, which you can also find on our website. So feel free to check that out. I'm now going to share the PDF for the for step-by-step guide that you have deserved. So just bear with me 1 second, and it's coming up. As you see, I'm trying to really pack it in a short time. There's a lot more information I can share with you, and yeah, that just takes much more time. Do feel free to reach out. You can now download this, or I can send it to you by email. And also do check out our company website, where you find this PDF as well, or any other information from the webinar leads service. So here you go. And with that, I hope you had a good coffee break. I'm sure I did.